I want to share with you a concept that has the power to improve our relationships, careers, and sense of self more than almost anything else. It's a simple idea, yet surprisingly challenging to master. It stems from a quote I find both powerful and practical. Emotional intelligence is knowing that you don't need to say what's on your mind at certain times, no matter how true it might be. Now, imagine a scene. You're in a meeting at work, and your boss presents a plan that you're certain has serious flaws. You feel an urge to blurt out exactly what you think about the plan, exposing every issue in front of the entire team. Part of you wants to lay out the harsh reality. After all, the truth is on your side, right? But something else holds you back. It's a subtle, almost invisible nudge that says, not here, not now. You decide to wait, gather your thoughts, and approach your boss privately. In doing so, you not only preserve your relationship with them, but also deliver more measured, constructive feedback. That, in a nutshell, is the power of emotional intelligence. Part 1. The value of a carefully chosen response. Emotional intelligence isn't about being dishonest or withholding truth forever. It's about timing and delivery. The difference between healthy, candid communication and a careless, scathing remark often boils down to a split-second decision. That moment, when you're on the verge of speaking a harsh truth, is where emotional intelligence truly flourishes. The quote reminds us that, while facts and truths are important, human beings are complex. Our words have consequences. They can spark inspiration, build bridges, or they can damage relationships and extinguish trust. Emotional intelligence is the ability to read the room, gauge the emotional temperature, and then respond in a way that fosters deeper understanding and respect. Part 2. Self-awareness. The first step. We can't talk about emotional intelligence without touching on self-awareness. How many times have we said something in the heat of the moment and immediately regretted it? That immediate sense of regret stems from a lack of pausing, a reflex reaction rather than a deliberate response. Self-awareness is that internal filter that says, wait a second, what am I feeling right now? Why do I want to say this? How might it affect the other person? This inner dialogue is the bedrock of emotional intelligence. It's not about silencing your true feelings forever. It's about letting them simmer until you know exactly how to serve them best. Part 3. The power of the pause. There's a saying I love. Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space lies our power to choose our response. That space is incredibly precious. It's the difference between a knee-jerk reaction and a thoughtful reply. Think of your words like sparks and people like bundles of dry leaves. If you toss a spark in the wrong direction, you might start a fire you never intended. A pause gives you time to see if the situation is flammable, so to speak, and how best to deliver your message. Sometimes a brief pause, even just 3 seconds, can help you reframe a harsh statement into a respectful yet honest observation. This tiny shift can transform an argument into a constructive conversation. Part 4. Empathy. Walking in another's shoes. Emotional intelligence also thrives in empathy. Before we speak a harsh truth, we need to consider how it might land on the other person. Are they in a place to receive it right now? What context are they dealing with? Could our words come off as an attack rather than a solution? Empathy isn't about sugarcoating facts. It's about presenting truth in a way that's digestible, actionable, and respectful. When you ask yourself, how would I feel if I were on the receiving end of this statement? You're exercising empathy. That perspective can drastically change the wording, tone, and timing of your message. Part 5. Building genuine connections. Ironically, it's often the truths we want so badly to blurt out that threaten our relationships the most. When we fail to choose our words mindfully, we risk alienating people we care about or need to collaborate with. Yet when we use emotional intelligence to guide us, our relationships deepen. Why? Because people feel safe with those who measure their words thoughtfully. That safety fosters openness, trust, and ultimately, more authentic conversations. Over time, individuals who master emotional intelligence become the kind of people others seek out for advice, support, or simply good company. Part 6. Real-world practice. Let's talk practicality for a moment. If you're wondering how to develop the skill of withholding truths or choosing the right time to voice them, here are a few suggestions. Number 1. Reflect before reacting. When you feel that rush of emotions, anger, frustration, or even excitement, pause. Ask yourself, is now the right moment to say this? Is there a more effective way to phrase it? Number 2, Consider the environment. Are you in a public or private setting? Will your words cause embarrassment or shame if uttered in front of others? Often, delivering constructive criticism in private yields far better outcomes than calling someone out publicly. Number 3, assess your motivation. If the main driver for your statement is to win an argument or prove you're right, that might not be the best motivation. Instead, focus on how you can solve the problem or help the other person. Number 4, ask clarifying questions. Sometimes when you think the truth is glaringly obvious, asking a question first can open doors to understanding. How do you see this situation? Or, could you walk me through your thinking? This approach often reveals a different perspective and allows the other person to feel heard, making them more receptive to what you have to say afterward. Number 5, reflect on outcomes. After a tough conversation, think about what went well and what you could have handled differently. Did you speak at the right time? Did you pause enough? Were you too blunt or not direct enough? This reflection is what helps you refine your emotional intelligence over time. Part 7, protecting peace of mind. One of the more understated benefits of emotional intelligence is the peace of mind it grants you. When you choose your words carefully, you're less likely to stew in regret later. You'll find that you can move forward without that nagging voice saying, "I should have phrased that differently," or "I wish I hadn't said that." When you speak from a place of mindfulness and empathy, you not only protect others' feelings, you protect your own inner peace. Part 8, encouraging shared growth. Here's another remarkable thing about embracing emotional intelligence. It can inspire others to do the same. When people witness you gracefully navigating difficult conversations, they often take note and follow suit. Your example sets a new standard for how to interact with empathy and respect. In professional settings, this can shift an entire team culture toward trust and understanding. In personal relationships, it can break cycles of arguments and resentment, paving the way for healthier, more supportive connections. Part 9, the grand irony. More truth emerges over time. Now here's a beautiful twist. By not speaking certain truths impulsively, you often end up in an environment where more truths can be spoken in the future. Why? Because people trust you. They trust that you'll weigh your words, show respect, and genuinely care about their perspective. This creates a space where open, honest dialogue can thrive, free from the fear that one harsh comment will ruin everything. Part 10, putting it all together. So, let me bring this back to the quote. Emotional intelligence is knowing that you don't need to say what's on your mind at certain times, no matter how true it might be. This quote isn't telling us to live in half-truths or bottle up our emotions indefinitely. Rather, it's a gentle reminder that the truth, like a delicate plant, should be nurtured and presented with care. When we master that delicate timing, when we learn to temper our words with empathy, self-awareness, and respect, we wield a power far greater than blunt honesty. We create an environment where truths can be shared effectively, fostering deeper understanding and stronger relationships. Let me challenge you to harness that power starting today. The next time you feel that urge to spill a harsh or inconvenient truth, pause for just a moment. Let self-awareness guide you. Let empathy shape your words. Ask yourself if what you're about to say will help or harm, and if it's best left unsaid for now. Trust that silence doesn't mean deceit. It's a strategic choice, a moment of compassion for others and for yourself. I believe that if we can embrace the wisdom within that small pause, we'll not only communicate better, but we'll also build a more empathetic world, one conversation at a time. If this video resonated with you, then make sure you subscribe to the channel and watch one of my other videos on the side of the screen. Thank you so much for spending your time with me today, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.